What's up everyone, how's it going? I hope you're all doing great and following the 3 H's of the channel. In this video, it's all about encounters from the backwoods. So, if that sounds like something you're interested in, pull up a stump with me and let's jump into it. Thank you for watching. A few years ago, we had Decoration Day up at the old family land, and I think that we had a Bigfoot encounter. Maybe something else. It's an old Appalachian thing, where it's kind of a family reunion, but we clean and decorate the graves. We have a church service and a cookout, all in the cemetery. It's a family cemetery in the mountains of North Carolina, close to the Tennessee border. It's on very old, American-wise, family land, and there are people from my family dating back to the early 1800s there, along with apparently a number of Cherokee somehow related to us. So here's the short and easy of it. Me and a couple of distant cousins decided to go camping up on a ridge overlooking the farm and cemetery one night, something we do every few years after decoration. It's a beautiful view with minimal light pollution. We're all armed because bears are common and panthers aren't too uncommon to be seen. Everyone falls asleep except me and a cousin. His name is Dale, because we're like the night shift people. In the middle of the conversation that we're having, he stops. He does a double take and stares deadpan down the ridge at the cemetery. Dale squints and mutters, "What the F?" But for me, I can't see anything. He says, "Man, there's people in the graveyard. They're huge." We wake up the other three and decide to go investigate. It's a 3/4 mile hike down through the woods, through the forest to get to the cemetery, and about 10 minutes into it, my hackles raise up. There's no cicadas, no owls or anything. I feel like I'm being watched. I start to smell something the closer we get to the graveyard. For any medical people, the closest I can compare it to is finding a dead guy decomposed in his trailer in July, along with that basement mothballish mildewy smell. It was horrible. Everyone's on edge, but nothing happens the rest of the way down. Dale starts hyperventilating and pointing his SKS to the clearing way across the field behind the house. Something huge sprints fast as hell from behind one of the barns to the wood line. It was 130 yards in seconds. Dale takes a few pot shots at the thing, and we hear this squalling kind of like a giant bobcat with its nuts in a vise. Another call similar sounds from behind us in the woods, adjacent to the cemetery. I'm so rattled by this point, I just start running to the Jeep that we rode down the holler in, and we all pile in. The dirt road into the land is about 2 miles of dirt roads, hugging the edge of a drop-off that takes you to the main road at the top of the mountain. We're all armed and scared shitless all the way up the driveway. We make it out onto the main road and spend the rest of the night at Waffle House. It's kind of anticlimactic, but for us, it was terrifying. So this happened quite a few years ago, but I was chilling with my cousin one night. We were deep in the woods in the hills behind his house. We had to cut out a clear path with machetes through this really tall grass, pretty much all the way from the end of his backyard, all the way to this clearing on top of a hill that only has one tree on it. We clear out around the area by the tree. We set up our camp. We make a small hole and get a bonfire going. I cook some chicken, and we talk shit all day, smoke a little bit of weed to relax. It's nearing dusk, the fire is still going, and everything is pretty comfy. I start noticing something though. As we're talking, it's like a faint laughter in the distance, but it only happens whenever we talk. Whenever we're quiet, it's quiet. I keep talking, but I'm now paying attention to the weird noise. My cousin speaks. The noise starts again. It sounds like a mocking laughter, but still far off. I tell my cousin, So now we're both alert. We keep talking, but we're listening. The noise keeps going every time we talk, and again, it stops when we do. I stand up to look around since the tall grass blocks the view. I look to where the sound might be coming from, a line of small trees and bushes, and I see something there. A black humanoid silhouette. It has big eyes. They seem to be glinting red. It's hunched over under some small trees. We stare at each other for a moment. I sit down again. I keep talking. I tell my cousin what I saw and where it is. We keep talking for a bit. The noise continues. My cousin slowly stands up, acting as if he's going to stretch. He checks it out, confirms that it's still there, and sits back down. We decide that we don't want to deal with whatever the hell this is. We should just leave. We bury the bonfire and grab our machetes. We both stand up, facing the thing. The thing sees us get ready, and it stands up, straight up. The sun is going down, but we can still see it pretty well. It's about the same size as us, pretty bulky though, completely black, and it's about 75 feet from us. My cousin asks, "What do you think we should do?" I tell him to slowly start walking towards his house, no sudden movements. I follow him, still facing the thing, tightening my grip on the machete. As we make our way, the thing starts to follow us, along the line of bushes, parallel to us. I never take my eyes off that thing. We're almost there. The line of bushes stops quite away from his house. The thing stops there. It crouches down just a little bit, still watching us. Whatever it is, will not leave the forest. We get to the backyard and jump the fence. We made it. My cousin turns on some lights. We call his brothers to come see the thing. The thing is still watching us from the bushes. It stays for a while, and then makes some really loud noises, and then just seems to get bored and leave after night finally falls. This is something that happened when I was 14 and I was staying over at my friend's house. I was trying to fall asleep. We played Nintendo pretty much all day and all evening. All the lights were off. There was only moonlight in the room. I get up and sneak to the bathroom to pee. I hear something downstairs. I was thinking that it was my friend's sister or his mom, since it was about 2 a.m. I come back, I get in bed, I leave the door open, and then I hear something, a sound on the stairs. I watch the doorway, and all of a sudden, the sound stops, almost as quickly as it started. But for some reason, I start to feel really scared. My eyes are glued to the stairs through the banister, and then I very clearly see a black silhouette of the upper half of a person crawling on all fours up the stairs. I felt absolute terror. I couldn't move. I had a tingling sensation all through my body. I was trying to call out, but I was too scared. I managed a raspy, "Help." The silhouette stops moving instantly. I'm even more terrified. My eyes are hurting from staring so hard. My heart is about to explode out of my chest. The room grows cold. I still can't move. I hear my friend stir on the top bunk, and then there's a click. A flashlight comes on from the top bunk. He points it at the stairs, exactly where I was looking. There's nothing there. My friend says, "Did you see it?" I can barely respond to yes. He says, "Me too." We both lay in silence for 20 minutes. He gets up and turns on the light. I think, what do we do? Was someone there? He says, "I don't know, we should tell my parents." When I ask if they'll believe us, he says probably not, but we still should. The next day we told them, and of course, they didn't believe us. But it doesn't end there. 3 years later, the same friend is at my house for a stay over. We're sitting on the front porch. Our house is on top of a hill with a gravel driveway, surrounded by woods. We were talking about the shadow figure on the stairs from the years past. My friend says that he saw it a couple more times. I say, there's no way that you saw it again. We were just stupid kids. But he assures me and says, no, I really did. And while we're talking, I hear gravel shuffle in the driveway. Both of us freeze and look. It's too dark to see. I get the same feeling of absolute terror again. It starts at the bottom of my spine and creeps all the way up. My friend grabs my sleeve and says, he's there. My friend points to the middle of the driveway, just past some bushes. There's the silhouette of a man's head that can be seen just above the bushes. The paralysis sets in, more terror. My friend is gripping my arm. A car drives by on the road below the driveway. The headlights show us that nothing is there. We relax a bit. We're just seeing things right, just recalling how scared we were. I'm able to move again. I look over at my friend, and now he has that look of absolute horror. There's tears in his eyes. I said, dude, are you okay? He just said no. His face is full of fear. I nudge him a little bit. He releases the death grip on my arm and reaches for the handrail to get up. And then we hear the loud sound of gravel from directly below us. I look down. There's grated metal stairs there. Just pitch blackness. But both of us are frozen again. I literally cannot lift my feet from the stairs. I feel absolute chilling air come from under the stairs. I'm getting goosebumps all over my body. I'm trying to force myself to get the hell out of there with all my mental might, but it feels like my legs weigh 10,000 pounds. My friend stops breathing. Me too. I can't breathe. The sound on the gravel continues below us. I manage to reach my hand in my pocket for my lighter. I almost drop it into the darkness below 3 times. I hold my lighter down near the darkness below the stairs. My friend death grips my arm and stares down with me. The lighter sparks once, and we see nothing. I spark it again. We still see nothing. I strike it again. It still won't turn on. And then, as soon as I get a little bit of a flame, I see 2 reflections of eyes down below the stairs. My friend immediately jumps up and almost pulls my shirt off and says, "Move." My legs work again. I run up and into the house. I slam the door. My friend is clutching his chest, stumble falling onto the bedroom to close the door. He says, "I saw eyes. I saw eyes. Call the police. Please call the police." We both are in full panic mode again, but we have no cell phone since this happened in 1996. The only phone is in the room with the modem. And then we hear something coming up the stairs outside. It's that weird bong sound that makes when you hit the side of metal stairs. My friend calls out, "Help." The metal stairs keep going. 10 seconds later, though, we hear gravel in the driveway, kicked twice. We think, what the hell was that? Is there more of them? I end up getting a hunting rifle, because that's all I have. We wait for 2 hours, but nothing happens. Nothing ever happens. It's still the scariest thing and the scariest night of my life. I'm not sure if my friend was just crazy, but I definitely saw something under those stairs in that driveway. Tyler Mountain is creepy, guys. I'm not sure if there's a creepier place in the USA. I apologize for the story being a little disjointed, but I'm trying to remember everything the best I can. This happened the year that I turned 21. I couldn't drink yet because of an idiot mistake that I made at 18. I was on probation for 5 years. I missed smoking weed, not a ton, but whenever I felt that need, I would turn to tobacco and smoke a literal pack. I got a vape and used high levels of nicotine. Basically, I could get effed up, but not really in an altered state of mind like pot or alcohol. I live in northern Minnesota, Canada Minor. There's Native American reservations all over. Some had their original land, some had given it up to settlers and later the states. The example being Beltrami State Forest, running adjacent to miles of logging towns. It's not far from the town that I lived in. There's a spot called Winter Silo. Basically, it's a little park about 10 or 15 miles into the woods, where a big stone silo marked the center of a town that no longer existed. A whole bunch of unmarked Indian graves are around, with little white fences and bells. "Don't step on the graves" is literally on the park sign. So one day, my stoner friends want to go out there. Weed grows around Winter Silo, weeds, and often stoners will hunt for it in between paychecks. They say, "Hey, let's go to Winter Silo. You've never been, right?" I tell them I haven't, but I have heard that that place is haunted as hell. So I go late one night after working. I get a very good reason to not associate with people who disrespect the graves and have a healthy fear of Native American cryptids. So after we all agree to go, we pile into my Monte Carlo. We head out, and it's under one of those super bright moons. Not necessarily a full moon, but you know what I mean. We eventually reach Winter Silo, and judging by how they hyped it up, I was kind of unimpressed. It's just a stone thing, with a stone roof and a ladder going up the side in a clearing the size of a football field. It has this little gazebo on the edge next to a sign. My friends had stunk up my car with a joint, and myself with an entire pack of Marlboro Reds. I roll down the windows, everybody out. A couple of girls complain about not wanting to be in the clearing with the moon out. I pretty much tell them that you can't really stay in my car during all this and that you still have to get out. I should clarify that only the passenger side door of my car worked, so anyone that was being like this basically forced everyone to wait. So we get into the clearing. For some reason, the now red-eyed fools needed to all pee all at the same time, but took the chance to be out in the woods a bit to scavenge for green. I notice how close they all stay to the gazebo and the tree line. I decide to show off. I'd only lived in the area for a few years, and I'd finally started to get to be around people on a regular basis. I yell that I'm going to wait for them on top of the silo. One of them says, "No, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't mess with any of the stuff here." But by the time they said that, I'm already running across the field. The silo was at least 30 yards to the middle. I stand in its shadow, like a mark on a sundial. The moon looked pretty cool, sitting there above the structure, as if the old building had been constructed specifically to point at it. I climb up to the top, arm over arm. My friends start to join me in the clearing, but they all stay away from the silo. I sit on the roof and taunt them a bit. My friend snaps a photo because it looked cool. He says, "Just wanted to have a picture to remember you by." Everyone dicks around a bit more. Some more weed was smoked, but none was found, much to their dismay. I used my friend's vape to get another nick buzz, so as to make it a little easier to ignore the intoxication of the car's passengers. Eventually, we pull out of the park. My friend's girlfriend is explaining to me about the little white fenced squares that I keep seeing around the forest as we drive. The roads are awful, forcing me to go slow anyways, so we stop here and there to look out the window at them. People shine their phone flashlights on them, to make it that much easier for me to see bright white fences and bright moonlight. Thanks, guys. The Winter Silo clearing runs next to the road, so I hear the story of the little girl in white who supposedly appears in the silo if you stare into it. I look at the silo, half interested, half trying to figure out whose phone was ringing in the car. It had to be someone by the windows. The sound was literally coming from right next to mine. It sounded like bells, like simple little Christmas bells, jingling slowly and very annoyingly. I start to say, "Turn off your damn alarm," but then a huge greyhound-looking thing is in the clearing. We passed a silo a few minutes ago, so it literally seemed to just rise out of the ground. Now my grandma only has miniature greyhounds, and basically they're sleek, thin-looking things with bug eyes. Since I'd never seen a normal-sized one, I didn't know that they weren't supposed to be that big. And I think, damn, now that I thought about it, wasn't that little boy a little large to be that far away? It must have been 50 yards away. And I think, well, I'm not exactly a dog expert, so I call it out to my friends, still trying not to be pissed off about the bells. They say, dude, there aren't any loose dogs this far in Beltrami. The DNR sweeps this area all the time because it's a historical landmark. I say, well then, what's that? I point at the dark figure, which had been moving in the same direction as we were, though it must have been veering away because it looked a little smaller. And then it stood up. It was freak-out time. Someone yells, "Man, step on it." I'm in a sports car in the woods. There is no stepping on it. I shift gears and start making dust clouds. This thing is now straight running at us now, on 2 legs. It's impossibly thin and impossibly fast. The thing was like a shadow that clearly stirs up dirt and doesn't disappear in direct moonlight. I get lost as all hell out there in the woods. Eventually, I get close to the edge of the forest and onto the highway. The bells had stopped a while ago. I'm still thinking that it must have been someone's stupid alarm. Everyone calms down a bit after this. Eventually, they settle back into swapping stories. Wendigo this, Mooseman that. Then, a girl speaks up. She says a few years ago, she had been in Beltrami with friends and accidentally fell into one of the graves, tripping over the white fence. The graves have bells on them, you see, for reasons that I still don't really understand. But bells are bad, because she had heard the same ones ringing for months after, with scary stuff happening in her house like doors slamming, shadows, and footsteps with bells playing all the while. Stuff would happen to the people around her, like their radios would stop working, their hair would get tugged on. And I think, well that's pretty scary, especially with what we've been through tonight. I drop everyone off at the gas station where we met up, except my buddy, who lived not far from me. I ask him if he heard any bells tonight. He says, "Bells? Nah man, it wasn't even windy." I said, "No, I mean in the car." He says, "No, there were no bells, what are you talking about?" And asked me why I asked him. I said, "Oh, there's no reason, just a little spooked by that story." And suddenly, I never really see that girl again that was in our car with us. I also never hear the bells again. I also don't trust Grandma's greyhounds ever again. I have no idea what that dark, sleek thing could have been, but I obviously haven't been back to Winter Silo since then. So those encounters were pretty crazy, weren't they? If any one of them stuck out to you in particular, let me know which one it was down in the comments. Do you have an encounter of your own? I have an email in the description below that you can send them to if you'd like to. Also down there are ways to donate to the channel, a PayPal and a Patreon, and super thanks here on YouTube. And with that, I think I will see you in the next one. I hope you enjoyed the videos this week, and if you did, be sure to like and subscribe and all that great stuff. And I hope you have a good weekend. I hope you have a good week, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for pulling up a stump, and thank you for watching.